Tonic Trouble is a surreal 3D platformer collectathon which is desperate to have personality. It was marketed entirely on its personality, its very premise is rooted in cacophonous chaos, and it's all around absurd. However, despite that pointed absurdity, the actual game is tired, bland, and rudimentary. To be fair, at least the first impressions are strongly positive. The animated intro sets the right tone, and how. It shows us our protagonist, Ed the janitor, as he's denied his only slim chance for companionship and chased around by a murderously furious brute. Incapable to find solace or compassion, watching the last petal of his hope fade and wither, he attempts to end it all by ingesting a nearby mysterious tonic. Halfway through, he vomits, quickly realizes his mistake, and chucks the can into the cosmos. It lands upon Earth, where an equally devalued and despondent drunkard mistakes it for a beer, consuming it readily. It transforms him and the Earth itself into a twisted nightmare, so naturally Ed must travel to Earth to set things right. This sets up a proper hero's journey where Ed has to rise to become something more than he ever thought possible, and finally become the sort of man who earns his own happily ever after. It's a really compelling cutscene with an unusually engaging protagonist and antagonist. Unfortunately, the narrative takes a nosedive in quality thereafter. The game introduces a load of new plot elements, including a crazed geneticist, a wacky old inventor, a secret resistance, killer vegetables, flying elephants, and a shoehorned message about environmentalism. Granted, all of these concepts would be fine if Tonic Trouble gave them proper screen time, but it does not. Almost none of these threads are properly resolved. Like, sure, Ed gets back the tonic and wins the girl, but that's it. That's all we get. The story and setting are clearly supposed to be richer in detail and context than this. Looking up concept art, devlogs, and other assorted info, Tonic Trouble was envisioned as a surreal thrill ride, with Ed stuck haplessly in the middle. But instead, it's just confused and strikingly shallow. This hollow simplicity carries over into the gameplay as well, though only in parts. Truthfully, Tonic Trouble has some stellar game design, especially early on. The game gives you a new power after each level, and dedicates the following one to exploring said power thoroughly. You first traverse through Doc's Cave, which is a mad labyrinth of malfunctioning inventions which test your platforming prowess. Then into the Killer Vegetable Patch, where you test out your new weapon in a variety of combat scenarios while still managing a rich variety of puzzles and platforming hazards. Next are the North Plains, where you test out your sharpshooting skills over countless precarious pits, utilizing eagle-eyed precision and perfect timing. And then Wild Canyon, a challenging flight through a deadly obstacle course where the floor is literally lava. It helps that the flying mechanic is so darned good, probably my favorite flight mechanic in any game. It demands a high degree of finesse and patience to master, but is deeply rewarding, and it enables enjoyable movement tech for the rest of the game. Up next is Glacier Cocktail, a proper collectathon level with open areas and simple state-shifting puzzles which raise and lower the water level. This goes perfect with your new diving ability, naturally. It's also my favorite level in the game. It's tightly focused, has lots of platforming, just the right amount of goofy gimmicks, and has some great opportunities to use the flight ability. After that, though, things trend downhill, and fast. You get a generic pyramid level with some reasonably creative multi-room puzzles, but a bland power which functionally just acts as a cutscene trigger. Then there's the penultimate stage, which contains no clear level theme, some forgettable sliding and box pushing puzzles, and a pogo stick. The pogo stick is pretty much just used to cross lava and open doors. Like, yeah, it's very pretty lava, but still. After that, the game asks you to explore prior levels with your new abilities, then speeds off to a half-hearted conclusion featuring not one, but two really mean boss battles that ask you to make strange leaps in logic to succeed. So yeah, while Tonic Trouble's level design trends positive, it's overall a half-baked mess. And that's a shame because the developers clearly had a good thing going with the flight power and early level themes. It seems like they ran out of money and time real hard. Oh, also, Ed has a huge amount of trouble with ledges in this game. I have no idea why, ledges are just his mortal enemy or something. But hey, you want to hear something unequivocally amazing about Tonic Trouble? The presentation is phenomenal. The visuals, exclusively on PC, are rich with color, detail, and style. Several of the surrealist set pieces are seriously stunning, beckoning the imagination with cool color palettes and peculiar visuals, which is the point, so that's ideal. The soundtrack is also a particular highlight, being so vibrantly full of life in its unusual instrumentation. It's highly memorable and charming, especially by video game standards. And I certainly don't mean that as an insult to games, but it's rare to hear tracks this rich in personality. So, when you grab a stellar premise, toss in some mediocre to good game design, splash in a tub of dire development deadlines, and add a pinch of powerful personality, what do you get? Well, you get Tonic Trouble. That's where I was going with that. This game was meant for something more, is what I'm trying to say. It wanted to make its own mark on the genre and deliver a wholly unique, unforgettable adventure. Instead, it wound up floundering on the floor like a half-dead fish. There are some sparks of beauty peeking through its dull scales, but it was always destined to be swallowed whole by a big, beautiful bird. Tonic Trouble is actually a game I played so much as a kid. Like, it's really dear to me. And one of the reasons it's so dear is because I just couldn't figure it out. For the life of me, my kid brain couldn't understand how something could be so weird and so boring at the same time. Well, I finally cracked the code, solved the mystery, you could say. And the answer is that, sometimes things just don't work out. Anyway, enough of that. It's time to thank my lovely patrons, without whom I couldn't keep making these videos. My wonderful supporters are I Pompous, Anonymous, Jay, Marth Sinclair, The Roses, Sam Anderson, Some Call Me Anto, Waposa, Mint Horse, Mike Hansen, Kay Storkson, Zuzu, Igor Oliveira, Hawthorne Bunny, and Folly Boyo. A link to my Patreon and Discord server is down in the description, and as always, thank you so much for your time and thoughts. I'll see you in the next video.